After what happened in Paris and the huge reaction it stirred in the world, the big question now is, what do we do next?
You know, nobody have the solution. Nobody have. It's a big challenge, not only for Denmark, but for the whole world. Also for the Muslim countries, for the Arab countries. You know, one of the main sources to be radicalized is the internet, the social media. And nobody has the solution to what to do with this. People get inspired from the social media, and we don't have the solution for this. But from being inspired from the social media and becoming radicalized to go to Syria, you can't do it only with the social media. You need persons to help you, to guide you. And that's, in Denmark, we don't go and stop these persons, but we have to rethink our, our methods. So, if a person that is a Nazi, who believes in Adolf Hitler, and who go and preach Nazi ideology and glorify Adolf Hitler, you will stop that. But when you are a jihadist, you don't stop it, because it's something with religion, and you have to be careful not to intervene when it's religion. But jihadism is not a religion, it's a political ideology that's much worse than the Nazis, much worse than the fascists. So you have to regard it as a political, dangerous political ideology, or not a religion.
Now, many people are saying these terrorist acts have nothing to do with Islam. Would you agree with that?
I do not agree. What happened in Paris is also Islam. Not whole Islam, but it's also Islam. These terrorists, they regard themselves as Muslims. They shouted up Muslims' messages when they did this terror. Their reasons to do what they did, they have from the Quran, from the Hadith, from Islam. They didn't take it from Buddha. They had it from the Quran. In Quran Surah 36, it says, do not mock the Prophet. Do not mock the friends of the Prophet. But in the Quran, there's it's nothing about the punishment. But in the Sharia, it's very explicit. It says, if somebody mocking the Prophet, then that's the consequence is death penalty. You have to die if you do it. So it is Islam. And if you want to get rid of it from Islam, if you want to challenge it and change it, you have to first recognize that's Islam. And that's why Obama, Cameron, Holland, they did a big mistake when their statement was, this is nothing with Islam. And it's very comic when Obama said Islamic State, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi are not Muslim. It's so naive. Of course they are Muslims. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, he used to teach in Islam in the University of Baghdad. So it's also Islam, but not whole Islam. You know, I don't know why they say it. Are they ignorant or naive or do they want to protect the Muslims? But it's to do the Muslims, they don't do the Muslims a favor to do it. So you have to say, yes, that's what I say. It's a part of Islam. When when al-Baghdadi, he crucified his opponents, he get it from the Quran, Surah 5. It's explicit in Quran, Surah 5. So, and that's why I said we need a revolution in Islam. We need to get rid of this part in the Quran, in the Sharia, that justify such actions. And in the Old Testament, mocking the prophets means death. But Christianity and Judaism said this is a part of our past. This is has no effect today. That's what we have to do in Islam too.
Now, what would you say is the Western world's responsibility? Some are saying that ISIS was a consequence of what the Western world is doing in countries like Syria, Iraq.
Come on, who started the September 11? It was not the West. It was Al-Qaeda. And it was the beginning to Afghanistan and Iraq. So, the jihadis is a part of their DNA to be against the West. They are the West's entities. The West are their main enemy. When they did the September 11, there was no war in Afghanistan and Iraq. And after the September 11, should we not have react and go after the Al-Qaeda? Of course we should. But it's also a part of the Western masochism. When something wrong there, the West look at themselves, something wrong with me first. It's my fault. I'm sorry. That's the white man burden. The West has done nothing in Syria. That's the problem. It's we discuss, should we intervene, should we not intervene? But the Syria example is a good example. What's happened when you do not react? If the West had helped the moderate opposition in Syria, the Islamic State and al-Nusra would have not been so strong. We let down the moderates. There was weapon sanctions on the moderates, the Free Syrian Army, from the EU, from the US, even though we have recognized them as the legitimate main opposition group. But as said, no sanctions. He got his weapon from Russia, and the Islamists got their money and weapon from the Gulf, from Qatar, Saudi, and rich uncles in the Gulf. And those who we recognized as moderate, we let them down. So Obama he's a disaster. He has a very, very big responsibility what happened in Syria, and he has responsibility for the rise of the Islamic State. If Obama's red line had been telling Assad, if you start shooting the people who demonstrate peacefully on Friday, that's a red line. But he told Assad, Obama, he is one of the presidents that always tell what he don't want to do. And he told the jihadists in Syria, no way, no way. I don't want to intervene, don't want to do anything unless you use the chemical weapon. So he also told Assad, you can use your chopper, you can use your air, you can use everything, I don't intervene. But when you use the chemical weapon, I intervene. He gave Assad carte blanche. And the West have a big responsibility for the rise of the Islamic State, because you accept that Islamic State rise and Syria became a safe haven for the global jihadists, and you didn't do anything. And EU have a big responsibility for Turkey that they let them go in. Erdogan, he's also have a big responsibility. I have been at the Turkish-Syrian border. I saw how the jihadis went into Syria and the Turkish police didn't do anything. I've seen jihadis go into Turkey and get treated in the hospitals in Turkey and go back. And when they were tired of the battle in Syria, they took to Hatay in Turkey to get some rest. So you can't, as jihadi, you can't go into Syria from Jordan. It's a very big border. Because the Turks have said, look at you, Mexico and US, a lot of Mexicans go in and you can't prevent it. But Jordan have a very big border, and Jordan has told, we are going to shoot on everything that moves. So no jihadis go into Syria from Jordan. It's difficult to go in Syria from Lebanon. You have Hezbollah at the border. It's very difficult to go in from earlier from Iraq. It's very easy to go inside from Turkey. And nobody had pressure, Erdogan government, to stop this. Islamic State, they became a success when they started to sell their oil in Turkey, in the black market in Turkey. Why didn't Erdogan prevent that? You know, the Islamic State have a fortune, 2-3 billion US dollars because of the soul of the oil. Why didn't you stop that? So Putin is also has a responsibility. You know, when he told Assad, I support you, then Assad, he became a person that didn't want any compromise. So there's a lot of, you know, people who have the responsibility of what happened in Syria.
Is this only the tip of the iceberg? Is it only the beginning?
I'm afraid that we will get a competition between Islamic State and Al-Qaeda on who will do the biggest terror action in the West. You know, now, if you talk about the Tour de France, now the Al-Qaeda have the yellow because of that. And they have showed the world and the jihadists we are much better to global terror than Islamic State. So now the Islamic State have to overdo it, have to do something more spectacular than this. So I'm afraid we are in the beginning of competition between these two bad organizations.